What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It is Sunday over here, and when it's Sunday, it usually gets pretty interesting over here, Pacific Standard Time, because stock market opens Monday morning here, Pacific Standard Time in the afternoon, and that is gonna give me something to be looking at for Bitcoin, because if the stock market moves, it could very well have a impact on how Bitcoin moves. So Sunday afternoon, going to be looking for a potential move here. And of course, that Monday morning candle opens sometime later in the evening, right? For Bitcoin, about 5 o'clock here. That's when the Monday morning candle opens. Okay, so pretty exciting for Sundays. Definitely, I think it's definitely going to be more interesting than yesterday. Okay, so that's what we're looking at here, and we're going to take a look into what's holding Ethereum back. Right, it did have a breakout. I've talked about it, but we're going to be taking a deeper look into Ethereum and seeing what could be holding it back from any major moves here, right? We're also going to be taking a look into some price predictions for tomorrow as well as the next couple of days. Also going to be taking a look into some top 100 altcoins by market cap and some of their setups, right? That's going to be pretty exciting too. So make sure you guys are staying around for that. Now, if you guys are new to the channel, you guys got to know that what I do in this channel is that we dive deep into the charts here and actually find the moves before they happen, because let's face it, it's a lot less riskier doing that than chasing a pumping green candle, okay? The only thing riskier than chasing a pumping green candle is shorting a big fat red candle, all right? Now, if you guys do have any technical analysis requests for any markets, any coin, make sure to drop a comment in the comment section below. I will choose one of your requests every day and do it in my videos. So if you guys do want any opinions from me, make sure to drop a comment in the comment section below. And of course, last but not least, like, subscribe, comments, because I will bring you guys my daily ideas. Now let's dive right into the charts here. Let's go over to Bitcoin real quick, because this is the driver of the crypto markets. Even though Bitcoin can be pretty boring sometimes, and it's pretty boring to trade, unless you're trading, I do trade Bitcoin, but with pretty high leverage. That is not recommended for, unless you actually have had some pretty good success in spot trading. I would not recommend trading leverage. Even trading high leverage, right? So, and I wouldn't even recommend trading leverage until you actually have some pretty good success in spot trading overall, right? Now, let's take a look into Bitcoin here. We're still on the hourly chart because we have actually broken down since yesterday. I've talked about this pattern. Basically, let's see here. Actually broke down yesterday. Price target here is about 91.3. Will Bitcoin actually come all the way back down to 91,000? Well, we're gonna see, right? Price targets are estimates only. Okay, it could be more or less, right? But it's still a very good idea to get a price target just to kind of know, like to gauge, right, where you would open and close positions. Now, let's take a look into hourly time frame. We had quite a bit of reversal signals on the hourly time frame. We had gotten a pretty good bounce here. You would not, this is very subtle on the price action chart, right? Because you have a green candle, just like you'll see, like with any other, green candle on the price action chart. It's actually a pretty small green candle. However, on the RSI here, that is a very powerful bounce. And let me elaborate. That is because if the price action on this time frame was to make an equal or lower low, you would still have to surpass to actually get a lower low on the RSI in order to not reflect any reversal signals, and to not, whenever I do get a reversal signal on the RSI, it usually means there's going to be a bounce. So in this case, if the price action on this hourly time frame was to make an equal or lower low, it's very likely that you're going to get another bounce. That's what I'm saying about the power of this bounce here on the RSI. Right. So that is basically what I'm looking at. It broke down and it kind of just dragged on for a little while. I mean, it's still hanging around about 94,000. So that is something to be keeping a look at. Something to be pointing out is that it is on the 6-hour time frame. Okay, I usually see a bounce for Bitcoin on the 6-hour time frame, a better bounce versus the 4-hour time frame. Okay, that is just speaking from my own observations. Okay, it's not 100%. Now let's take a look into daily time frame. We are still very well above that daily 200 SMA, which is great. Okay, since we had that break earlier this week, I mean, that is a solid green candle. Okay, if Bitcoin can actually hold this level, right, which I think very well it could, at least in the period in this bull cycle, right? Then I don't see why the altcoins would not be moving with it, right? So this is still looking very good right now, and let's take a look into weekly time frame, 3-day time frame. These are going to be the time frames you're going to be focusing on. You want to be focusing on because we are at the moving averages on those time frames, and when you're trying to break back above it, it is resistance at about 94,000. So very important to be getting a 3-day candle above the 3-day 50 SMA, and then of course a weekly candle above the weekly 21 SMA. That is something to be keeping an eye out on. Of course, on the 3-day time frame is that we actually broke out of this double bottom pattern. I've talked about this for the past couple of weeks. Price target is going to be about 104,000. Okay. And we are, very well above that neckline of that double bottom pattern. Now, double bottom patterns, usually bullish patterns, very powerful and effective patterns to be keeping an eye out on, especially if you guys are looking at the charts, right? And when you guys look at the charts enough, you will be able to just tell right off the bat, a lot of these patterns that appear. Now, let's take a look into Ethereum. Okay, what is actually holding Ethereum back? Okay, so Ethereum has actually broken out of this very long downtrend. Okay, that has formed since January. You'll find a very similar trend with Bitcoin. Not exactly a falling wedge, but a very similar, at least according to the top trend line here, right? And Ethereum is lagging behind Bitcoin by a lot. It is lagging behind Total 3 as well, which is total altcoin market cap excluding Ethereum. And the reason is because their distance between their price action and the daily 200. Bitcoin is already above the daily 200. Okay, Total 3 is very close to the daily 200. However, Ethereum is not. Okay, the daily 200, which the orange line, is at about 2,700. Okay, that's nowhere near the price action right now. So could Ethereum actually get a huge pump to catch up? I mean, that could happen, right? I've seen it happen, but what are the chances? Gotta think in terms of probabilities in here, right? It's like, going to the casino, and not exactly a casino, but playing blackjack, right? And all right, I don't know where I'm going with that example. Let's just come back here. Think in terms of probabilities, right? Because I like to say, things are more likely to happen or less likely to happen, and just gauge, what could be happening in terms of probabilities. It's very important. Now, let's take a look. Like I said, very far away from the daily 200 SMA. It is right at the daily 50 SMA, okay? We do have a bearish pattern that is basically on Ethereum's shorter time frame charts, right? I do have some Ethereum, right? I am still bullish on it, and as long as Bitcoin looks bullish, I don't see why I wouldn't be bullish about Ethereum and a lot of the altcoins. Okay, so basically here, bear flag, right? We have a rising wedge, bear flag, however you want to call it. Price price target is basically the opening of the pattern, and then you put it at a estimated breakout point. In this case, I'm just gonna put it right here, a few hours from now. Okay, and if it actually breaks from there, we're gonna get a price target of just right underneath 1700, right? So that is basically what I'm looking at for Ethereum, and until Ethereum actually breaks out of this pattern, this is what I'm going to be looking at on the shorter time frame. Let's see if we have any weakness on just some of the bigger time frames here. On the daily time frame, I don't think, just my opinion only, I don't think this is weakness on the daily time frame. I think that is still pretty this high is still, pretty noticeably higher than the previous high there. Okay? 12-hour. That would be bearish divergence because that's a clear higher. That's a clear higher high on the price action chart and basically an equal or lower high on the RSI. So that is bearish divergence. That is a reversal signal. Okay, it usually means it's gonna reverse, right? So that's basically what I'm looking at, and how far the reversal goes, that is yet to be seen, and that needs to be judged as you continue to follow the charts. That's why it's very important to learn the indicators. I use the RSI, very powerful when it comes to measuring the strength of a move. Reversal indicators, right, like divergence or hidden divergence as well. That is basically a continuation indicator for the RSI as well. So quite a few things you can actually do with the RSI. Very simple, very effective. Moving averages, the other indicator that I also use, right? I keep it pretty clean on my charts. I only have RSI. I have moving averages, and then I consistently chart the patterns. I look at it on a daily basis, on an hourly basis, right, and see what could be looking off, right. So that is something to be keeping an eye out on. Those are my three indicators that I use, and to actually get ahead of any potential moves that's coming. All right, let's come over here to total 3, and this is what I'm talking about. Daily time frame, very similar to Ethereum. However, price action chart is a lot closer to the daily 200. Okay, so we could potentially see more moves coming out of altcoins, excluding Ethereum, before Ethereum actually moves. Price target out of this falling wedge pattern is going to be about just shy of 1.1 trillion, which, in my opinion, could pump some of these smaller altcoins pretty significantly, as we have already seen for the past couple of days. Right now, but what I'm saying here is just purely my opinions, okay, and not financial advice, of course. And I'm just, this is basically what I'm looking at. I think a lot of these altcoins could actually be moving ahead of Ethereum, just because of where the price action is relative to where the daily 200 SMA is. Okay, and it's just, if you actually take a look at that, it's just, it's moving faster than Ethereum, but it doesn't mean that Ethereum is not going to be catching up, right? I think as long as Bitcoin actually holds some of those important levels, especially the daily 200, and continues upwards, I don't see why Ethereum could not catch up. Now, let's come over here to top 100 altcoins crypto. Let me also cover the stock market real quick before we head there. So stock market opens in a couple of hours. It's actually looking very good right now because we actually bounced off the 4,800 level, which is a very important level. I've been talking about it for the past couple of weeks. Broke out of this falling wedge pattern. Price target is going to be about 5,800, right above its daily 200 SMA, which is the orange line there. But right now is looking good. Okay, it just crossed over the daily 21 SMA. Okay, so something to be keeping an eye out on as well. This is ES1 exclamation mark. Basically, the S&P 500 mini futures. It could serve as a front-running signal for Bitcoin. Let's take a look into some top 100 cryptos. See any potential setups. What hasn't pumped? What has pumped? Yesterday we covered a few here, and we're gonna work it down the list here and see if we can find any potential setups here for the last couple more minutes of this show. All right, so this is Curve CRV, right? Looks like this thing has already broken out. Very similar pattern here with altcoin, with Bitcoin, just because, well, Bitcoin drives the market and everything else is going to look pretty similar on a higher level. Right, let's come over here to the 3-day time frame where I could probably get more wicks touching here on the probably daily time frame. Well, this is not exactly a falling wedge, I would say, because we don't have 3 candles touching on a bottom trend line here. Oh, there you go, on the 12-hour time frame. Okay, I just like to be more technical here. Okay, 12-hour time frame. There we have a falling wedge pattern. Broke out of this pattern not too long ago. There you go, that's the price target. Opening of the pattern, put it on top of a potential breakout point. We broke out already. This will give us about $1.16 price target. It is touching down on on a support right now, which is the 12-hour 21 SMA. Okay, I usually like to enter on supports on higher lows. On higher lows with a support, right? That's what I personally do. Generally, not financial advice, right? But that is a lower risk move. Of course, it's not 100%, but it is a much better move than buying into a higher high in terms of risk, right? Now let's take a look into so that is curve, right? Let's take a look into the monthly time frame. That's also what I'm concerned with too, because I don't want to see a overbought monthly RSI reading. And on this monthly time frame, I mean, we're very low. I mean, this is in neutral zone. It's not overbought, right? Let's come over here to Altcoin. All right. Weekly time frame looks pretty different. I don't think I can actually get a there's not a falling wedge in here like I would see. It's a rounded bottom, right? You're probably gonna hit resistance about $2.50. Might form a cup and handle, and then we'll get a potential price target from here. If it actually forms a cup and handle, then I'm just saying if it has not yet, then what I will probably do is measure the price target of the cup and handle, which it seems like it's going to be either $2.50 or $2.75, depending on where this side actually gets resistance, right? So something to be just keeping an eye out on. But right now, I don't see a huge price target coming from Altcoin yet. Not until this this cup and handle actually forms. So we'll come back to revisit this. That basically wraps up for my video today. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys have a great rest of the weekend. Happy trading, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.